In 2013, I graduated from Florida State University with over $36,000 in student loans. And at the time, I was a recent graduate, I was living in a new city, and I had just gotten a new fiance that I had to figure out how I was going to provide for. So it seemed very overwhelming that these loans would ever be paid off. But we discovered a 3-step strategy that helped us to pay off this $36,000 in loans in under a year and a half. So in this video, we're going to be introducing you guys to this strategy and also some tips and tools that you can use to get your loans and your debts knocked out as soon as possible. So stay tuned.
Hi guys, I'm Tassine.
And I'm John. Welcome to Millennial Fire, where we give you guys practical tips on reaching financial independence and early retirement. And if you guys have been enjoying our content so far, please hit that like button for us because it really helps us out. And also hit that subscribe button because we're on the journey to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And thank you guys so much for the love and support so far.
So before we get into the 3-step strategy that we use to accelerate our debt payment, if you haven't checked out our video that we made a while ago about how to prepare for a debt payment plan, check it out over here. But just to recap, the main points of this video was to make sure that you have a budget. It's important that you know what's coming in, what's going out of your household every month, and this will help you be able to implement this 3-step strategy efficiently. The next thing that you want to make sure of is that you're at least paying the minimum payment on all your debt. You're not ready to accelerate any debt payments if you're not at least doing the minimum on all your debt. And this can be organized in your budget. You want to make sure each minimum payment is a part of the expense part of your budget every month. The next thing is that you want to make sure that you have at least $1,000 of an emergency fund set up in your bank account. So if there's an emergency that happens, it doesn't set you off your plan of paying off your debt. You'll have this $1,000 emergency fund that will help you not accrue any debt in case of emergency, which leads us to our last important point, and that is to freeze your debt. You don't want to accrue any other debt. If you're looking to pay off your debt, getting yourself in more debt is just digging you in a hole even more, and it's going to be that much more difficult to get out of the debt that you're already in.
So before we jump into the strategy, there is one more thing we want you guys to understand, and that's some definitions surrounding the terms of your debt. So there are 3 terms that are very important for you to know. One is balance. The balance is simply the amount of money that you owe on your debt. The second term is interest. Interest is simply the dollar amount that is applied to your balance as the balance grows. So how do we know how much the balance grows? This is where the APR comes in. APR stands for annual percentage rate. So in our opinion, this is the most important number when it comes to any debt. Like, regardless of whether it's a credit card, whether it's a house loan, no matter what it is, this is a very, very important number that is often overlooked. This number is represented in a percentage. And so when you see an APR, you'll see something like 5% APR, 10% APR, 15% APR. You're never going to see something like $1,500 APR. And the reason why it's represented in a percentage is because that percentage is applied to your principal to know how much interest to add on top. Just to give you guys a quick example and to show you why this is so important, we're going to jump into this scenario where we're looking for a $10,000 car. So we do our research, and we look and we see that we have 2 loans that we're comparing to see which one is better. So we look at car loan number 1, and it has a monthly payment of $300.
And both of these cars are $10,000. So it's the same amount of loan that you're looking to borrow.
Mm-hmm. And so car loan number 2 has a monthly payment of $440. Just based on these facts alone, obviously we should go with car loan number 1 because it's a cheaper payment every month. It's $300 and you get to save $140 every month. But let's do our research further and dive deeper in. So next we look into the paperwork and we see that loan number 1 comes with a 19% interest rate and loan number 2 comes with a 5% interest rate. Well, these numbers really don't mean much on their own, and it's still a cheaper payment to stay with loan 1, so why not stay with loan 1? So we look at loan 1 and we see that the length of this loan will be paid over 48 months, which is equivalent to 4 years, and the length of loan number 2 would be paid over 24 months. Okay, so now we're starting to see some difference. We see that if we go with loan number 1 paying $300, we're going to have to pay that $300 over 4 years. And with loan number 2, we're going to have to pay that $440 over 2 years. So now we have some difference here. But you don't know. You still may want to go with loan number 1. But here's the one that makes the biggest difference to us. On loan number 1, if you pay the minimum payment for that monthly payment, which is $300 over that course of 4 years, you're going to end up paying $4,400 in interest. Versus if you decided to go with loan number 2, you would pay $560 in interest. So with loan number 1, that $10,000 car that you wanted ended up costing $14,400. Versus with loan number 2, that $10,000 car ended up costing $10,560. If we look at the difference between these two loans, it's truly a difference of $3,840. That may not be a lot of money to you guys, but it's definitely a lot of money to us. And that's why it's so important to look at the APR and how it applies to your debt and applies to your loan. So with all that being said, let's dive into this 3-step strategy. So step number 1 is to organize all of your debt. So with this, we need you to get a sheet of paper, a notebook, or get an Excel sheet, get a Google sheet, either go to Personal Capital or undebted.com, and we want you to write down all of the debts that you have. And when you write down these debts, we want you to write down certain things about each one. We want the name of each debt, we want the debt type, and by that we mean whether it's a credit card debt, a home loan, a car loan, a student loan. And we want the principal that you owe on that debt currently, and we also want the annual percentage rate, the APR for that debt. Right now, they don't have to be organized in any specific fashion. We just want them all in one place so you can see them. The one thing we do ask is that you guys, if you do have a mortgage, you take that line and pull it to the side. The reason being is because when it comes to mortgages, there are some special things about mortgages that you can do to accelerate and pay those off quicker than the other ones. But that's beyond the scope of this video. So this strategy that we're going to give you guys are to be applied to all non-mortgage debt.
And you want to focus on your mortgage debt after you've taken care of all of your consumer debt, such as car loans, credit cards, student loans, and things of that nature. Step number 2 is to determine your monthly debt payoff commitment. And what this is an amount of money that you can consistently pay extra towards your debt every month. So if this number is $100, you're committing that $100 is the amount that you can rain or shine no matter what's going on, no matter if your electricity bill is higher this month or lower this month. $100 is what you can commit to paying every month until your debt is paid off. So what this means is that $100 is the least that you're going to do towards your debt every month. So if for some reason you're able to get overtime on your job one month and you have an extra $200 at the end of the month and you want to allocate it to debt, that's great. That means that you're accelerating your debt payment plan even further, and that means you're going to reach to your debt-free date even sooner. But the next month you don't have that overtime. The least that you're gonna at least do is your $100. So that is gonna be your commitment that you're gonna stick to until your debt is paid off.
So the third and final step in this strategy is choosing a debt payoff plan.
And sticking to it.
Definitely, and sticking to it. With this, we're gonna give you guys 2 options to choose from. The first option is the option made famous by Dave Ramsey himself, and that's the debt snowball. In this plan, what you're going to do first is to organize your debt that we got in step 1 and put them in the order of the smallest debt to the largest debt. The smallest at the top, largest at the bottom. And what we want to do is, of course, it goes without saying, to make sure we're paying the minimum on all of these debts. And then we want to take that extra money that we have allocated from step 2 and apply it toward the top debt. And so you put all your money toward that debt as much as possible until that debt is paid off.
And by top, remember, he means that's the smallest debt.
Right, the smallest debt. And then after that debt is paid off, you roll that money that you used to pay to that debt to the next debt. And now you have not only the contribution of the money that you've been saving back for your debt, but you also are going to add the money that you were adding to the minimum payment of the first debt to this new debt. So now this is where the snowball portion goes in, because for every debt you get to pay off, that means that you're able to apply even more money toward the next debt in line. And this is a great strategy if you love to see successes and you thrive and you're influenced by having wins along the way on your journeys. So while this is a great strategy, this isn't our favorite strategy. Our favorite strategy is the strategy called the debt avalanche. And it's a bit different. Can you explain that one, Love?
So the way this method works, you're going to organize your debt not by the amount, the sum of the debt, but you're actually going to organize it by the percentage rate or the APR of your debt, with the highest percentage rate being at the top of the list and the lowest APR being at the bottom of the list, and everything else in between following along. Generally, you can pay off your debt a lot quicker in this method, and also you end up paying a lot less interest doing this method. The amount that you determined in step 2, you're going to attack the highest interest rate debt first with all that extra money until that debt is paid off, and then go on to the next highest interest rate until you're all the way down to the lowest interest rate debt. And so although if your highest interest rate debt is the biggest debt, you may not see your plan working as fast, but in the end, you'll end up paying less interest on it. And sometimes you may be in the situation where the way that your debt is set up, you're able to avalanche and snowball at the same time, because sometimes your smallest debt is the highest interest rate debt. Maybe it's a credit card, that's 20%, and then your next highest interest rate debt is your student loans, and then the next one is the car loan. It could really end up being a snowball avalanche, which is you have the best of both worlds if that's your situation. But if that's not your situation, just figure out which one is better for the type of person that you are. If you're a numbers person, and just knowing that you're going to be spending less money is enough to motivate you to stick to your payment plan of the debt avalanche, go with the debt avalanche. But if you're the type of person that needs that extra emotional support, that pat on the back to see that, oh, this loan is now gone, I feel great, I'm ready, I'm motivated to do it again, then the debt snowball would be the one that's best for you.
And so with that, I know that these are a lot of numbers and a lot of situations we're throwing at you, but we don't want to leave you with just that. Due to how popular these different strategies are, there have actually been calculators out there to help people understand which one they should go with and how beneficial it is to their payment plan. So there's a website called Undebted, and the link is in the description below. And as you can see here, that data that we asked you to collect, the name of the debt, the APR, the amount you owe the debt, you come in and you input all of those entries, and then you choose whether or not you want to use the debt snowball plan or the debt avalanche plan. And it gives you a detailed breakdown, not only of how long that it will take you to pay off your debt, but the difference between paying the minimum payment only and how long it takes to pay that off, and the difference between the opposite that you chose. So you can see the difference between the snowball and the avalanche to figure out which one is best for you.
And that will give you your debt-free date, which is something that's very motivating to see when you're going to be out of debt for good.
And so with that, the way I look at this, and I'm sure we said this before in another video, is similar to how we look at road trips. So when we're going on a road trip, I'm from Alabama. We live in the Orlando area, so it's about 11 hour and some change road trip to get there. So when I put it into Google Maps and I see 11 hours on the clock, I tell myself, oh, I gotta at least make it there by that time, but I'm gonna try my best to make it there before that time. So, I might put my foot down a little more on the pedal, add an extra 5 miles an hour here, extra 10 miles an hour here. Please don't tell anybody. But in my mind, I want to get there quicker than the clock. I don't know why, but it's a fun game for me to play safely, of course. I am not condoning people driving past the speed limit. So anyway, I applied that same concept to this debt payoff plan. So let's say that your debt payoff plan gives you 20 months to pay off your debt. To me, when I see that, I hear a challenge accepted. So I know at minimum I'm paying off my debt in 20 months, but every once in a while I'm going to feel motivated to throw an extra $5, an extra $10, an extra $100 toward my debt in the great months to try to get that 20 months to jump down to 19 months, to jump down to 18 months. And before you know it, if you keep on accelerating, you might cut that 20-month payment of your debt plan down to 15 months, down to 12 months. So this was really, really motivating to us, and we hope that it can be motivating to you.
So whatever the plan is that you choose, the important part of the step is picking a plan and sticking with it. So wherever you are within your debt situation, we hope this video has been helpful to you, and we hope to see you guys debt-free soon. And if you've liked this video, please give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can see when we post our next video. And we hope to see you guys next time. Anything else?
I don't think I have anything else, so
I think that's it.
so see you guys.
See you guys.